Welcome back, Cherries fans. We are back with some more cherry picking, and I have got my main man just over there, Mr. Matthew Harrison. How you doing, Matt?
Yeah, not bad, Greg. All good. Looking forward to cherry picking me and back.
Exactly, mate. And we've got loads and loads and loads of good stuff coming up. We will reveal that, or well, we'll drip feed it throughout the week. But this week is going to be a busy, busy week here. So if you haven't hit the subscribe and the bell button, do it now. Also, give the thumbs up as well because that helps everybody else see the channel. So, been up to much during the summer? It's been a bit.
Well, changed jobs. Built a decking in my garden. You know, just trying to find something to do in that spare time and no football.
Yeah, to be honest, I've been very, very bored. To be honest, I've got the PS4 back. I've also changed jobs. What else is there going on? Not a lot, really. No, not a lot. But being down the beach quite a lot, that's quite nice. So at
I
least
don't
you've
like
got
sand.
us. You don't like sand.
No, it gets between your toes and all in cracks it shouldn't be.
And in your phone as well. And it bugs
Yeah,
that off
I
every
hate
single time.
sand.
Yeah,
Stick to the
yeah.
promenade, me.
And also, when you get in the sea for the first time, it is absolutely freezing, isn't it? You know, when it goes
I've
up.
been in the sea for years. I couldn't tell you the last time I've been in the sea.
Ah, fair enough, mate. Fair enough.
I tell you,
I've been a couple of weeks ago, but I regretted it as soon as I
a
was in there
Bournemouth boy
because
through and through, don't like sand and doesn't go in the sea. Doesn't sound good, does
well, it's been a busy week here at the Cherries in all departments. We are ramping up. I have got the new shirt on. Um, let's firstly just cover that off. Of course, the away shirt, I reckon is going to be probably announced next week at some point, but the new home shirt, what do you think?
I like it from a retro perspective
Hmm.
because it sort of takes you back to the sort of 70s Ted McDougall era.
Yeah,
I like the collar on it, the granddad sort of collar neck.
yep.
Um, the stripes for me possibly could have done with the red stripes being a little bit thicker, but I mean that's
Mhm.
just personal preference. But overall, it is a nice shirt.
I think I prefer it to the season we got promoted in the second time round, not the first time round. I did like our 2015 shirt. That was lovely, lovely kit. There's I've got to be honest, the 2022 or 2021 22 shirt, no, not particularly one of my favourites, to be fair. It was it was very, very thin stripes, wasn't it? Actually,
Yeah,
it is
yeah,
just
yeah,
behind you there, isn't it?
yeah. Yeah, that's right behind me. Yeah, you are right.
Yeah, but I
See
don't know.
that one grew on me.
Is it?
It grew on me. I didn't like it at first. Like you with the stripes, to be fair.
Yeah,
But then it grew on me. And I kind of like it now. Um, but then like this one I got on here, I've always liked this shirt,
oh, it's a lovely shirt,
um,
that one.
which you know was a shirt we had for 2 seasons.
Hmm.
Certain Mr. Anderton wore this one. Yeah,
Yes.
no. So I do like. I do. This is my favorite time of pre-season. Is obviously you've got games on. Like we've had two friendlies already, uh,
Yeah.
but the part for me that's more exciting than the friendlies was the shirt releases for me. I do like the friendlies because obviously you get to see, especially now with a new manager in. It's going to be very interesting to see how we play. And the last two friendlies, I think we've played with very high tempo, so it's going to be some exciting football. But just going back to the shirts, this I can't wait for the new away shirt to come out. I mean, it's rumored, isn't it, to be yellow and blue again, like it was rumored
Yeah.
last season, which I'd love that. But yeah, I mean, a away shirt is something that you should be able to express yourself with. That's how I see away shirts. Your home shirt should be a tradition,
Yeah.
and your away shirts you should just be able to go crazy with. Crazy colours, designs. So I probably get more excited with the away shirts than I do the home shirt. To be fair.
But we did have this debate the other day, didn't we? Because I turned round to you and I said, that black third kit last season, that was a lovely, lovely shirt. You know, one of my favourites. Um, but I wasn't too keen on the away shirt. When I first saw the away shirt, I thought,
Mm.
wow, that's different, that's interesting, that's exciting. But it kind of went the other way. It didn't grow on me. It kind of lost its appeal.
Um, See, we've had black shirts before. I think I'm not overly keen on black football shirts.
Hmm.
Never have been. Um, it's a bit referee for me. But I did like the away shirt, the third strip last year.
Yeah.
I thought it was very smart. It's one of those ones you bung on and go down the pub and have a pint in. Do you know what I mean? It was a nice, smart shirt. Didn't really excite me. The away shirt, loved it as soon as I saw it.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. Go mad, go crazy. These palm tree patterns, like the one here with the pier and the beach on it.
Oh, I love that shirt. That's
Go
amazing.
crazy, express yourself. That's how it should
Yeah.
be. But it'd be interesting to see what happens with the away shirt anyway.
Well, there's been loads of rumours going around, and the yellow and blue one is quite an interesting one. Like you said, it was the same rumour last season, and of course it's been cropped up again. Whether or not it is going to be, who knows? Who knows? To be honest, there was rumours about this home shirt, and that was completely wrong. Um, just on a note, actually, before we move off the shirt topic and get stuck into it, what the bloody hell is Southampton's shirt?
Oh, what their home
Eating
shirt?
it. Yeah, it
I
looks like a
gotta
quick
say,
save bag.
I gotta say, would never wear it. But I gotta say, that is a fantastic rendition of a retro shirt. It's
It looks
virtually
like a
like the
quick
shirt
save bag.
No, look, it's exactly like quick save bag. Yeah, I'd much rather wear a quick save bag, to be fair.
Yeah,
But when you actually look at the original shirt from the 80s, you'll
yeah,
appreciate what they've done. Wouldn't wear
mhm,
it, but in terms of retro shirts are big business at the minute. Just like the
exactly.
replica shirt business is massive. So but I actually appreciate the design, what they've done.
Hmm.
Um, I think you know that will probably sell a lot better than that horrible blue thing they had last year. Do you remember
Well,
that
yeah,
ghastly blue thing? But yeah, no, I do appreciate the design element of that shirt, but I'd rather see it burning on a bonfire.
yeah, same here. To be honest, I'd rather wear a quick save bag. But yeah, that's the first thing that come to mind was a quick save. Um,
But I can see
sh-
why.
right, enough about them. They're
Yeah,
not even in the same division. Let's go on to our first topic, which is fantasy football.
fantasy football. Yeah, let's have a look.
Yeah, and here it
Here it
is.
is. Yeah, it's back.
Yeah,
Um, the cherry picking fantasy football league. Um, we are looking for a sponsorship for the league, purely just to fund the first, second, and third prize. So if anyone is listening that they're interested, that they might want to get involved in a sponsorship kind of way, then please get in contact. Our email address will be scrolling along during the show. But these are the teams that have already joined. This is as of Saturday. Um, I'm just going to literally load the league up while we're on here. I don't know if you want to start rolling through some of the names there, Craig, that are joining on while I just double check to make sure no one else has joined.
of course. So he went straight to the top of the league because he called himself simply the best 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. He wasn't the first person in the league because, of course, that was Matthew. But Daniel Chase has joined the league. So, of course, there was me and Matt. Hopefully, I'm going to do a little bit better than I did last season, which was bloody atrocious. But we've also got Iraola's Barmy Army, Louise Ray, who was the third person to join after me and Matt. Then we had My Points Total. There's a good name there, isn't it?
That's also last year's winner.
It is, yes. My Points Total. Last year's winner. Is it going to be more than everybody else? But a novelty name there. James Hornby. We have got Tim Smith with 11 bench warmers. We've got Jordan Upwood, The Waste of My Time. Chris Hubble with Cherry Red. Um, we've got Edward Gibson with Casa Amor. He's going, is that Spanish? I think that is Spanish, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
It is, yeah. There we are. I see what you've done there, Edward. Good job, mate. Good job. Kenneth Tucknott with King Kenny 73. Brian Waldron with Real El Madrid. We have got David Bolgin with Up the Cherries 11. Good to see David is keeping up with the channel name. I'm sure it wasn't for that. James Whitlock with Kluivert's Golden Boot. So Kluivert has already won the Golden Boot this season. That'd be nice. And we've got Mark Manley with AFC Manley.
Yeah,
So
and we have two more.
we have two more. Go on, let's
have,
reveal them. Drum
yeah, we
roll.
have Andrew Flint with Judy Harland, which I think's a good name. And we have got Andy McDone with Haven't Jot a Clue.
Haven't jot a clue.
Yeah.
Haven't as in the place, haven't.
As in haven't, as in like you haven't.
Oh, you haven't.
Haven't
Oh,
jot
not
a
haven't
clue.
by Portsmouth.
Rather than haven't got a clue, it's haven't jot a clue. So,
I like
yeah,
it. I like it.
that's where we're up to with names.
So there we go. That is the league as it stands. But you can get involved, and please do. If you are interested in sponsoring the prizes, do let us know. On the email address, it is utciadafcb@gmail.com. So utciadafcb@gmail.com. And
This is just last year's Craig.
yes,
Last year's winner. They're listed there. That's the top 10 from last season. But just as an example, as you can see, our channel sponsors logo is there. That is
yes,
the kind of exposure we will give you on all the graphics throughout the whole season, and a mention on any special programs that we do about the Fantasy Football League, and also on cherry picking each week.
how? Where am I?
What, in the top 10?
Yeah, I'm guessing I'm probably not even in the top
Well,
20.
you probably have more chance of being in the bottom 10. To be fair,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm 7th there. I mean, not going to brag about it, but there you go.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was last season. Anyway, on to this season, I say.
Yes, most definitely, most definitely. So do get involved in that as well. As you can see, it is scrolling down the bottom of the screen. So
And just quickly,
go
just
on.
very, very quickly, the pin.
There we are. It is 269 8007. So 269 8 and then 007. So James Bond's there. There we are.
We'll just play it again at the end.
Exactly, exactly. So let's go on to our first topic. We've got a couple of topics to talk about. Shall we talk about somebody's famous, well, so a famous person's son who has joined the football club?
Would it be this guy?
It would be this guy. That is Justin Kluivert, and he joined the club from Roma a couple of weeks back now. And I made the point when he did sign that I never ever thought that I would see a Kluivert in red and black. To be honest, you wouldn't have ever imagined, well, let's be honest, Patrick Kluivert was a great player for Barcelona, AC Milan. You would never expect him to be in the red and black of AFC Bournemouth, but you will see a Kluivert in the red and black next season. Shall we move on?
Shall we move on? Yeah, after that little induction.
Exactly. So here we are. So Justin was born 5th of May 1999. He is only 24 years old, so just before the millennium. Both of us are a bit before, quite a bit further away from the millennium, weren't we?
Well, a bit
Um,
closer to the 70s than we were the millennium.
well, yeah, I know that's bloody horrible to think about it. But in fact, I can remember getting a little bit drunk during the millennium. Shouldn't have really, but that's how we rolled. but born in Amsterdam, 5'7", and of course he's a winger and a forward. And do you want to go through the statistics, Matt?
Yeah, can do. So from his senior career, while he was at Ajax, I'm assuming that is their B team.
Yes, it is.
First of all, where he played 8 times, scoring twice before being promoted to the first team. That's not a bad ratio, really, is it? 44 appearances and 12 goals from a wide man.
Mm-hmm.
Someone that can also play central as well.
Yeah,
Roma, I think he may have lost his way a bit at Roma from what I've read,
yeah,
and what I've seen. Obviously, he's had several loan spells. Um, to be fair, Valencia last year, I think they struggled quite a bit.
yeah.
And I think he was kind of their standout man last season for a side that was struggling. So, I mean, someone at 24, he's had 219 career appearances and 42 goals. It looks like there's a lot more still to come from the player. And it will be interesting to see how the new manager uses him.
And it's not
Are
just
we
his
going to
dream.
use him as a wide man? The second half of the second pre-season friendly, he was playing as the forward,
Mm-hmm.
central forward role. So it'd be interesting to see, um, how he is used. I reckon he's going to be used in a number of positions myself.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be used wide and as a central, probably as a central option.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think from what I've seen in the pre-seasons, the first game against Hibernian, he set up 2 goals. So there's assists in the guy as well. So I think he's going to be a big asset.
Yeah, most definitely. Let's go on to the next part, which
Oh,
is there we go.
wait.
Hey, wee. So his stats at Valencia. So 26 La Liga appearances, 2 Copa del Rey appearances, and 1 Super Copa appearance. He scored 6 goals in the Liga, 2 Copa del Rey goals. And 1 assist and 1 Copa del Rey. But what you have to think about as well is Kluivert was in a side that was struggling last season. So therefore, what could he do with the talent that is around him at Bournemouth? Um, let's be honest, Valencia didn't do very well. If you have a look at their 22-23 season. Um, what do you make of those statistics, though, considering that is a struggling side?
Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head, really. I mean, the 2 friendlies I've seen so far, Bournemouth attacking look very
Yeah,
exciting. And I think this is the type of player that's going to thrive on that. So
hmm
I think personally, we're going to see better stats
yeah,
than maybe what he's been churning out recently. I think this is the type of player that's going to thrive under the current manager.
yeah.
And I think he's going to be quite an important asset to Bournemouth next season.
Yeah, most definitely. And just in case anybody is wondering, Valencia finished 16th on 42 points, 7 points behind Iraola's Rayo Vallecano. But of course,
Uh,
remember, Rayo Vallecano were at one point last season in the Champions League places.
they
It was
certainly are.
remarkable. It's effectively like Luton Town getting there, to be fair. That's kind of the size of Rayo Vallecano.
Yeah. I mean, he's he's going to thrive. I think. I really do think he's going to thrive under our new manager. And
Yeah,
what I've also done is I've just compared these stats to 3 players that played last season. So I've not compared to anybody that's been long term injured
yeah,
or anybody that came in the January transfer window. I just picked 3 players that had been with the club from August of last year And if we just take a look at their stats and then look back at his stats, it's quite interesting to see. So we've chosen Christie,
Yep.
Tavernier, and Jaden Anthony. When you have a look at this, there's a lot of minutes played there, and it just makes you wonder that someone is going to lose their place in the team to this guy.
Hmm.
There's going to be some rotation going on as well.
Yep.
But when you see the likes of, we've got Traore who can play in numerous roles. Obviously, Christie himself can play in a couple of different roles. For me, this is a nice headache as a manager to have,
Hmm.
because we know Jaden Anthony is capable. Tavs had a fantastic season when he was fit,
Yep.
and I'm sure that Christie would probably have liked to have improved, probably in the goal scoring stats, as he did play the most minutes out of Tavs, Jaden Anthony, and a lot more minutes than what Kluivert played at Valencia. So it's just interesting to look at these stats and think, if you were the manager, which way would you go? Who would you, if you had to make a decision on who's playing, and if everybody's fit, who plays, who's on the bench, and who doesn't make the squad.
And there's one man as well that we've got to take into account that will also be back in the reckoning next season, and that is David Brooks.
Absolutely, and he's been on fire in these 2 pre-season friendlies. I think he's looked really, really good. So
Yep.
again, that's another headache. Obviously, I've not put Brooksy into this because obviously Brooksy was making his way back last season, so it wouldn't be fair. You couldn't really compare him and Kluivert's performances last year.
Mhm.
But that's another headache. Do you know what I mean? You've got some really good, talented players,
Yep.
and that's without Traore, Dongo. That's without the guys that came in the January transfer window.
Yep. Definitely. Definitely. So there we go. That is Justin Kluivert. So Justin has joined the ranks at AFC Bournemouth, and we shall see what he does next season. But there has been a lot of rumours that have been going around, and there's a there's a general rule that I was speaking to Mark McAdam about a little while back, and that is if it doesn't come from Mark or Chris, really take it with a pinch of salt, because and I agree with Mark on this 100%, is that it's better to be second and get it right than first and get every single thing wrong,
Mm,
because you could be first, and let's be honest, you throw enough mud at the wall, something is going to stick. If you name 20 players who are going to sign for the club, something's going to stick. And there is journalists out there that do that, but what I always say is sit back, wait for Mark to actually confirm it, and then get really excited, because um, there has been some things that have, been mentioned
mm.
already, and things that we have started to do. But there is one player who I didn't really know about until this was mentioned. Shall we go through it?
Yeah, yeah.
So, AFC Bournemouth are ready to sign Man City sensation Carlos Borges. Is that how you say it? Borges?
I'm not really sure, Craig. To be honest.
But this is a rumor that is doing the round. So likewise, it's come from Football Insider. Do not take it, take it with a pinch of salt until something crops up. But it is a rumor that seems to be gathering pace. And do you know what? Even though I say, yeah, wait until it's confirmed by Chris Temple and Mark McAdam, I do enjoy being linked to these players and thinking, oh, actually, I quite like him.
Mm,
You
does
know,
it just make you wonder what they look like in a cherry shirt, doesn't it?
he does. Yeah, and then it never happens because it was a load of rubbish and decided by one man up the pub with a three-legged dog. So, so yeah. But Football Insider sometimes tends to be quite right. So, Bournemouth are ready to join the chase for Man City star Carlos Borges, sources have told Football Insider. The Cherries have sent scouts to watch the Portuguese under 19 international at the Euros, and Borges has impressed during the tournament, starting all three of their Group A games so far. The 19-year-old is highly rated at City, made 33 appearances for the under 21 side in the 22-23 campaign. And let's be honest, that is a bloody good figure considering this is Man City we're talking about. This isn't Wigan Athletic, is it? Let's be honest. They're going to have a lot of quality in that side.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's frightening to think that, their second string and their youth sides can achieve things like this.
Oh, crikey, yeah.
Isn't it?
Honestly,
Really.
yeah, it's
It's
remarkable. And if you heard that Man City have signed, isn't it a goalkeeper? And they've signed, for the biggest fee ever, a goalkeeper called Spike Britt from AFC Wimbledon. It's classed as undisclosed, but it shows what power they've got that they're buying, a young, really unproven goalkeeper for a ridiculous amount of money to put in their academy to grow him up to be something big. And it's an interesting, it's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens with that, but interesting to see what happens with this. Shall we move on and let's have a look at this? Go on, Matt. Take it away.
yeah. Well, yeah, that's cool. Right, so yeah, it looks like Bournemouth are a number of clubs eyeing up the teenager, including newly relegated Southampton, which could be an interesting move.
Why does he want to go there?
City, well, if City want to keep the player, but they
Yes.
want him to get first team experience, what a great move it would be to give him a season in the Championship to see what he can do.
Agree.
So from a City perspective, I could understand that.
Mm.
And also from a player's perspective, is if his wish is to stay at Manchester City. Bournemouth are believed to be exploring a loan move or a permanent deal for the City winger as they look for reinforcements in attack. So, like what we were just saying there about the three players we were
Hmm.
comparing with Kluivert, this would
Yeah.
be then another winger that the club brings in. But he is a versatile attacker who can play on either wing. Doesn't say about central, but a winger to net 29 goals at any level is impressive.
That
Very
is,
impressive.
yeah, very, very good.
So obviously he's Portuguese by nationality. Began his career with Sporting CP's Youth Academy before joining City in 2014, and then he's worked his way through all the age groups. But he's yet to make a first team debut. But then again, when you got Haaland and players like that, and the other City players that are winning the league year in year out, it's going to be a real tough environment to break into, isn't it?
Oh, most definitely.
So, but he was named Premier League 2 Player of the Season after topping the goal scoring charts and helping the elite development squad. See, even their development squad has the title elite in it.
Yeah.
Claim a historic third consecutive league, which that is outstanding for any any youthful development squad to achieve.
I'm really excited by this actually, this little rumor, because I didn't know much about him, but with those statistics, you think, well, what is he going to be able to do and bring to the table? My only reservation, and you know what I'm going to say, is the how much competition he'd have on the wings here. So on the right hand side, you've got Christie, Tavernier, you've got Brooks. Left hand side, you got Jaden Anthony, Justin Kluivert. Unless there's a plan to move one of those into the middle, and then that's a whole different story.
Well, yeah, someone like Christie, I believe, and I think we've seen it, haven't we?
Yeah.
play in the middle. So yeah, it would be interesting to see, if this signing goes through, what does happen.
Could he play in the middle?
Who?
Borges, with those
Well,
figures.
this is it. I mean, you've seen players achieve this kind of feat before, and then they've had their positions changed, and it'd be quite interesting
Yeah.
to see if I mean, for me, if I was a manager, now I'm not a football manager, but I would probably look at changing him to a central player. Wouldn't
Yeah.
you? I mean, I don't know. Wouldn't you look at that?
Well, with the pace and that goal scoring record, and if he was sat behind Solanke with Kluivert on the left hand side and Tavernier on the right hand side, that is dangerous. Any level, because considering he scored 29 goals. Now Solanke, we've said this before, he's not an out and out goal scorer. He's a player that will track back. He's got good eye for goal when he gets that opportunity, but he's not greedy. He's not a poacher. He's Whereas Kiefer Moore, you could say, right, okay, you can fire the ball up to him, he'll get his head on it. He's a target man. Um, this guy, for example, if Solanke drops back, this guy could then push forwards to, you know, tap home, or he's got that pace. He might be a little bit more creative, might be able to take a bit of the pressure off Solanke. I think this is interesting, and I think if we played him just behind Solanke, I know this might be stupid because considering I'm not a football manager either, but do you see my logic in that?
Yeah, oh yeah, I do. I can see your logic in that, definitely. I mean, the thing is we don't see the player every day on the training field. Like I've said,
Mm,
before, even about our players. Sometimes we're going, well, why ain't that player playing instead of that player and that? But managers obviously see them day in day out, and Pep must know what this guy's capable of.
yeah,
So for me, if you see him go out on loan, obviously Pep has an eye on him for the future. If he moves somewhere permanently, then he's going to be well sought after
yeah, definitely.
massively. But I mean, if you look at his career stats, um, there you can see that he's played in the EFL Trophy
Hmm.
for City over the years. Under 18 Premier League, Premier League Two, UEFA Youth League. So he's playing for his age group. He's playing decent levels of football,
Yeah.
um, and he's turning out. I mean, look, 11 assists and 21 goals in that league last season.
Hmm.
I mean, that is some return, isn't it?
Oh, it
Because
is.
he's creating as well as scoring. Normally, you tend to, wingers tend to assist more than they score sometimes, don't they? Whereas this guy's finding the net and still assisting. So he does seem, whether this, like we say, this is just a rumor. Um,
Yeah.
Whether there's any real concrete in this will be, interesting to see. And in 79 appearances, he's got 55 goals and 42 assists in 5,490 minutes of football.
Well, it goes to show. I was just having a look at his height, because from that picture he looks like a tall guy. He's not. He's actually 5'5". I was just wondering if is he a target man as well as
Nah,
somebody who's really pacey. He's not really somebody who you could, put the ball. You're chasing the game. You got 5 minutes remaining. throw the balls into the box. He's not that sort of player by the looks of things. But I think is quite an exciting rumour, this, for a player that I didn't know much about until just now. But with those statistics, they don't lie, do they?
No, the stats don't lie. You well know that. It's it's going to be it's going to be interesting. Like I say, there's no real concrete, nothing really there that's showing us that it's concrete at the moment, is there?
No.
So, but yeah, it's an interesting rumor. It's the type of player you want to be linked with.
Yes.
And yeah, be interesting to see if it does develop.
Well, let's have a look. There is another player that has been rumoured and linked
Yeah,
to
but but
FC
just
Bournemouth.
before that, Craig,
Go on.
just chuck in something just so we can make sure that we don't forget to tick it off the list.
Yes. AFC Bournemouth number 5's. This was something that was actually requested a little while back, wasn't it?
Yeah, obviously we'll continue the history of the squad numbers throughout this season's cherry picking. We've still got quite a few
Yes.
numbers to cover.
Mhm.
Some numbers with lots of players, and a bit like the number 5's. There's not as many wearers of this shirt that some people might think. So the first one that I could find or could remember, to be honest with you, because I do a lot of this from
Far
memory. So
away.
if anybody knows of anybody else that's worn the shirt number, please comment and let us know who I've missed. So first up, we've got Ron Feeney.
Yes.
Now it was strange to see a forward wear
Mhm.
the number 5 shirt.
Yeah, it's really
Uh,
odd, isn't it? It's not
yeah,
something that you normally see, do you?
no, but he eventually became our number 9
Yeah.
after Chucky Arabin moved on. But then again, I've seen weirder things. I do remember Billy Mercer at Bristol City wearing the number 2 shirt, and he was a
Yeah.
goalkeeper.
Yeah. It
That
happens.
does strange with these squad numbers, isn't it?
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, so then Carl Broadhurst moved from number 21 to
Mhm.
number 5. Um, there he is celebrating with John Spicer, that heroic night at Blackburn Rovers.
Yeah.
The Premier League side when we won on penalties. All that time ago. That must be, God, that's got to be 2004,
Yeah.
2005. And that night was a night a young Jamie Wiskin made his debut, who's now captain at Poole Town and has played for Poole Town for a long, long time. But that's a night that sticks out from that photo there of him with him and John Spicer. But yeah, good player, good defender, and a well-known player from the time. A guy that's featured before, used to have the 16 shirt. Couldn't find any more pictures than what I used from the 16 presentation. But yeah, Josh Gowling then took on the number 5 shirt.
Yep.
After Josh, Jason Pearce, good player. Good old fashioned type defender, Jason Pearce. Would just throw his body in, stick his head in on anything. He's now a coach at Charlton. He's just retired from playing over the summer. There he is sharing a moment with Fletch down there in the bottom corner.
Biggin. He gets everywhere, Biggin, don't he?
He does. He does. Even partying with my missus, but that's another story. But yeah, so yeah, it's nice to reminisce and see pictures like this because he was he was a good leader as well. Good leader, good leader.
Yes.
At a young age, he actually had the captaincy. Went on to represent, Leeds and many other clubs. Had a decent career at that level. So
Hmm.
Yeah, he has worn that shirt. Well, after him, we had a man called Adam Barrett. Now, I really liked this guy when he come in.
Yeah.
Really was fond of this guy. Brad has brought him in from his days at Southend. He's now on the coaching staff at Millwall, I believe. But
Hmm.
I thought this guy was a cracking leader and a cracking defender. Um, he left the following season um, under Paul Groves. I believe he moved on because he wasn't being part of the squad. At the time, he was, I think he must have been 30, maybe early 30s at the time. So obviously, he wanted to play regular and eventually moved on. But the season that he did play for us, I thought he was a fantastic player
Yeah.
um, at that level, and also a very, very good vocal captain on the pitch as well.
Believe it
Um,
or not, here's a bit of a fact as well about Adam Barrett. So he has actually managed the Lions as well. So
ah,
after Neil Harris left the club, he managed one game
as a
and
caretaker.
as a caretaker,
Ah, yeah,
and he won. Oh, sorry, he did 3 games. He managed. His first game was against Leeds United, and he won that one. Um, and then he must have drawn and lost the other ones. I haven't got any statistics for that, but yeah, one part of me of what I'm looking at says that he won that game, and one part is saying that he had 2 others. So I think we'll probably say he's got a 33% win record there.
well, I'm sure it's better than some managers.
Exactly, better than Jimmy Quinn.
Your mate.
We're back
Next
onto that. Next, moving on.
is the legend, obviously our
Abs-
current assistant head coach or whatever these titles are these days. He's been shown before. I think we've done the number 13s, haven't we?
yeah,
Um, and he was allocated that shirt when he first joined the club, but obviously took the number 5 after Adam Barrett. Um, what can you say about this guy? What can't you say about this guy? You know, the man that lifted that trophy on that glorious day at Charlton. Um, Great player and a real good leader, and you can see why he's in management now, can't you?
yeah. He was on the wall, wasn't he, for ages? In fact, they've got rid of that mural on the wall in Lansdowne. I understand now, which is
Yes,
a real shame. I'm not happy about that, to be honest. I wanted
it'd be
them to
nice to
keep
see
that.
more things like that around the town, wouldn't it? Because there is some
Yeah.
real shoddy areas of like the town centre. It would be quite nice just to celebrate your football club and the town's heritage by doing things like that. But I'm
Well,
sure
when we
there's some
went up to
councillors somewhere
Liverpool,
that don't like it.
they had
Oh, it's
pictures of
everywhere,
Ian Rush and Steven Gerrard and you
everywhere.
name it.
Yeah, everywhere. It's a culture up there, though, isn't it? You know, the football
Yeah.
club is a real culture up there, and I think if you could see around the Boscombe area and around the stadium areas, murals appear like that, like they do near Anfield. I think it'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
But
Most definitely.
it's disappointing that the one with Tommy has disappeared, like you say.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and you saw that recently. But yeah, we'll move on to another guy who I think is going to excite you,
Oh, Nathan Ake.
Mr. Ake. What a player! What an outstanding player! I mean, he's I love Cookie. I
Hmm.
love Tommy Elflick, Prano. This guy was and still is absolutely pure class, and
He's
the way he
quality.
wins the ball. I mean, the way he can play out with the ball. You can see why Pep signed him,
Mm,
and why he's being so successful at City. You could just see
yeah.
it when he was playing for Bournemouth.
And a lovely guy as well. I did actually put up on Facebook after he won the Champions League with Manchester City, a picture of, and this is a little bit of a story. My son George and we went to game again between Bournemouth and Burnley, and it was an evening game, and it was. If you remember, it was pissing down with rain, wasn't it? It was a right miserable evening, and of course, my son wanted to meet all the players, and he'd already met Nathan Ake a couple of times, and all of a sudden I just lost him. I just lost him, and he ran over to Nathan Ake, and Nathan Ake must have spent a good 5-10 minutes just talking to him about football.
Yeah, it's lovely when players take the time to do that, isn't it? You
Yeah,
know, I mean, these days, people do say, you see all these footballers and they're walking into stadiums, for matches with their headphones on and they don't acknowledge the fans and all that. I mean, I can understand why they got their headphones on. They're just purely focused on the game, and
yeah,
that's absolutely right. But it's lovely after a game that when you do have that opportunity to engage with a player,
mhm,
it is worth it's worth so much to some fans, isn't it? And you know, credit to Aki. I mean, that must have been a lovely thing for George to see
oh yeah,
and be a part of. So, and that will and that's something that George will always look back on his life. When he's older, and you say, oh, that Nathan Aki when he was a player, he used to stand and chat to people. I had a conversation with him once. It just something that he can tell people, at school and as he's growing up through life, isn't it? It's little moments like that that do really impact people sometimes.
definitely, definitely.
Let's take a look at the current man.
Lloyd Kelly. So no doubt, I'm pretty sure that he'll be keeping the number 5 next season, unless there is a little bit of change, unless he chooses to, switch his number or decides to leave the club. But I'm pretty sure he'll be here next season.
It's
But
rumoured that the new manager's fancying him as a centre player again.
mm,
So I've heard. Um, so it will be interesting to see. I'd imagine he'll keep the number 5. I can't see him being linked away from the club. Um,
no,
I thought his performances at left back last year, after he had his blip and he came back, after I think the pressure of the captaincy was taken off him, um, I think he performed really well. And there's a talented footballer inside Lloyd Kelly. I know he's had his poor performances and things like that, but there's a talented footballer there.
and that is one of the master strokes, that Gary O'Neill made, was to take the captaincy off him. Take that pressure away. Go right, okay, just focus back on your game. He did that, and I tell you what, Lloyd Kelly come back so much better. Um, while I was a little bit at the time disappointed in Gary O'Neill leaving the club, to be honest, if another manager had come in at that point, like Frank Lampard, for example, I would have been a bit disappointed. But with Iraola, I understand you. It's effectively, going to a car showroom and there being, a really impressive BMW there on sale, for a third of the price, and you snap it up there and then because somebody else will snap it up if you don't.
Mm, yeah,
Um, so that is how I see it. That is how I see it with
will be interesting to see how Kelly fits into the new gaffer's plans. As you notice, I keep saying the new gaffer because my pronunciation of these names I do tend to get
Iriola.
wrong. Iriola, Iriola. I'm going to go
Iriola.
to bed tonight just saying Iriola, Iriola in my sleep until I get it right.
There we go.
That's the number 5's.
Excellent. Well, as everybody knows, there is a lot of rumours still circling. As we mentioned earlier on, a Man City player there, but there's also another player that has been mentioned. Shall we go
Mm.
through him? Because I did make a video of it the other day.
You did, but this is the views of the press.
Here we go. Cherries on the pursuit of talented Guernsey star Scott. The Guernsey Grealish.
That's what they're calling him.
What a title that is.
But this is a report from Bristol Live, um, courtesy of them. So we just got some articles here about what the press has been saying, and we all know what the press is like. Some report something different, and And so it's just interesting to see what the press is saying regarding this potential transfer.
Now, the big question is, and there's a lot of division on this, do we stump up the £25 million price tag?
Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt.
Agree. Agree.
For me,
Um,
I've seen the guy play, obviously on TV. I don't tend to go to Bristol City very much these days. But yeah, from what I've seen of the guy, and he did play down here last year in a pre-season friendly.
yeah.
And what I've seen of him, he is an extremely talented midfielder. Would I say is he worth 25 million? I mean, possibly not. People will argue that, but you got to put yourself in Bristol City's position. They have got several clubs. I mean, West Ham are included in this. You'll see in some of these reports, other clubs
Yeah.
get named.
Wolves.
Wolves being one as well, who's also had bids rejected, like we have. So City have got this great position where they've got this fantastic talent, and of course they're going to hang out for the most money, aren't they? They
Yeah.
are hoping for a bidding war on the player, So it's going to be interesting to see what he goes for. But yeah, I don't know if you want to go through what's being said here, Craig, or
Yeah, I can certainly read it out. So Bristol City value their star midfielder at 25 million and are confident there is competition in the market to drive his price higher. Bristol City rejected a bid worth 18 million from Wolves for midfielder Alex Scott prior to Bournemouth's offer this week. Bristol Live understands. Bournemouth had their first approach knocked back on Tuesday, with the Cherries proposing a guaranteed 15 million plus future add-ons, but it fell short of City's expectations and valuation of the 19-year-old. That came after Wolves had failed to meet the Robins' £25 million price tag for the England under-20 international, who has 2 years remaining. Bournemouth are expected to make a second bid this week, which should get towards the 20 million mark, but City are confident they have time and competition on their side, and should they elect to sell Scott, they can continue to drive his price up. Now, my verdict on this is, um, do we, well, here's an opinion. Do we sit back, let there be a little bit of a bidding war, and then just go in at the end and just nip him from Wolves, West Ham, Brighton, whoever else is mentioned, which I'm sure is going to be on the next page, isn't it?
quite possibly even Inter Milan. I mean, this is an interesting one. Go through this one, Craig.
Yeah, no problem. So, of course, it goes on about us making an improved offer for Bristol City, Bristol City midfielder Alex Scott, also admired by West Ham. Bournemouth have had a £15 million plus add-ons offer rejected early in the week. The Robins value their man at 25 million, especially after the 19-year-old made 42 appearances for the side last term and was named Young Player of the Season across the whole of the Championship. There is a Premier League bidding war for the Guernsey Grealish. So-called for his Channel Island heritage and similarities to Manchester City's Jack Grealish. With the Hammers and Wolves both interested in Scott's services, Inter Milan were also previously thought to be mulling over a prospect of an £18 million bid for the midfielder who turns 20 in August. Scott made 3 appearances with England in the Under-20s World Cup in Argentina this summer. Of course, he did win the under-19s competition. West Ham are seeking a probable replacement for outgoing Declan Rice. This is what worries me. Whilst Bournemouth want to solidify their squad as they prepare for another season in the Premier League, the Cherries view Scott as their top target in midfield and will submit a higher bid imminently. Now, I don't know if you are aware, you probably are, but Alex Scott was actually in the youth system here for a very, very brief period of time.
Yeah, and I think that's in another report in a minute. I mean, this one that you just read out is from the Mail Online. It's just funny how they slightly differ.
Yeah,
But yes, what you've just said, I believe, is in another report in a moment. We've got several here. West Ham, yeah, I can see why they be interested in the player. Obviously, is he the answer to the replacement of Declan Rice? That's big shoes to fill for such a young character.
agree.
Um, and it does say obviously that we're imminently going in with a higher bid, so
Yeah,
it will be interesting. Is he the answer to our Jefferson Lerma problem? I don't think so, because I think this
no.
player's got a lot more about him. But would he be an asset to our football club? Would he enhance our midfield? Absolutely.
Could he
Um,
be worth 3 times as much?
Eventually. Now this is
Yeah,
what you got to weigh up. I mean, it's a risk, but you know, is there a time that he's going to be wanted by a massive club and you can make a profit on him?
Man
Who
City.
knows? Who knows? But for the time being, I think he'd be a great addition to the squad.
Agree. And here we
And this
are.
is a little bit here, Craig, that does touch on what he's worth.
So Bristol City is set to face fresh Alex Scott decision as Fabrizio Romano delivers Bournemouth update. Fabrizio Romano is normally quite correct. So Bournemouth are preparing a second bid for Bristol City star Alex Scott after seeing their initial 15 million offer rejected. Transfer insider Fabrizio Romano has revealed the 20-year-old is said to be a top midfield target for the Cherries, who are aware of the competition they face from several UK clubs. Now, Romano has provided a fresh update and revealed that the Cherries are ready in a second bid for their top target in midfield. It is said that new offer will be submitted soon by the South Coast club, who are aware that they face competition from several UK clubs. So, what is Alex Scott worth? As Football League World exclusively revealed earlier this summer, the Robins are standing by their £25 million valuation of Scott. That price has put a number of suitors off already, with the likes of Brighton and Wolves believed to be out of the race for him at that price. Nigel Pearson on Alex Scott. City boss Nigel Pearson told Bristol Live at the end of June that he's planning for next season with the expectation that the midfielder will still be at the Southwest club. I expect him to be here and he'll be here. That's how I approach the situation. Now, Nigel Pearson, it continues here. When you've got players who are potentially on clubs' wish lists, I think that's a very positive thing for us because we've got good players and he won't be the only one. We've got a number of players who I think will be attractive to many clubs. Them being available, we're not in a hurry to sign anybody. That's the bottom line.
I think that's the normal lingo a manager would churn out when he knows he's going to lose one of his biggest assets, isn't it? To be
Yeah.
fair.
And Nigel Pearson, let's be honest, he's impressed. One of the toughest men to impress in football, isn't
Yeah,
he?
he is said to be quite a hard act, isn't he?
He is.
I think a certain Mr. Glass impressed him while he was at a certain club called Carlisle and kind of saved his
Yes.
season. But well, actually, no, because I think Nigel Pearson actually left Carlisle that summer. To be fair, but no, he is obviously a manager that does have standards, and he does expect
Yeah.
um, certain standards, like any manager does. It's difficult being in his position, knowing. I mean, I say knowing, but it's kind of like the Declan Rice situation. Moyes knew he was losing him, and this is probably the same kind of situation where the manager knows he's going to be losing a top player.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Well, let's have a look at the next slide.
From our
And
friends at Talksport,
friends at Talksport, of course, we are the Talksport fan network channel of choice. So make sure you hit the subscribe button, or if you're listening to us on Spotify, which this show is on, Apple Music, Google Play Podcasts, make sure you give us a like as well, and come over to the YouTube channel and give us a subscribe on there as well. So Wolves make U-turn and ready new bid for in-demand Bristol City teen Alex Scott. Wolves had an £18 million bid rejected earlier in the summer. transfer window and had indicated they were out of the race. But the West Midlands club are now preparing a new offer for the youngster who was named Championship Young Player of the Year last season. It is understood Wolves' new offer will be in the region of 20 million. The news is a blow to Bournemouth, who believed they were frontrunners to sign Scott. We might still be. To be honest, I think that's really Wolves are making a bid. What we've got to do is make sure we make a bigger bid. But I don't think that Bristol City, it's only 3 million over our bid, which has been confirmed by Mark McAdam with add-ons. I don't think they're going to scoff at that. I think they'll reject that as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I know you talk to Mark McAdam at certain times when there's certain things flying around, and Mark is in the know, and he's probably you're probably right in what you're saying. That they will probably reject that. But it's just funny, isn't it, how one source of media differs to the other. Now, in the previous article, Wolves were scared off by the price and Brighton, whereas then this article, and it looks like they're leading the way. So it's amazing how things do differ in the media. I think I personally think Wolves is probably an attractive offer for the player, possibly, but then he's got to weigh up where he's now he's at an age where he's got to progress on and mature as a player. He's got to decide the right location that's best for him to do that. And not being biased, I think if he come down to Bournemouth, he'll thrive.
Yeah, and you've got to also consider.
But that's down to the player to decide. He's going to decide where is best for his career and where his future lies. But I just think, if you saw him in a Bournemouth shirt, playing in a midfield with the likes of, Lewis Cook, Philip Billing, players like that, it would be, an interesting prospect to see, and it would be nice to watch his career develop.
Definitely.
But it's down to the player and his representatives to where his future lies and where it's best for his football to develop. I think at his age he's at.
Yeah, most definitely. Oh,
Oy,
skip one. There we are. Here we go.
Here's a little feature from Sky Sports.
So there is a good reason for the interest. Scott beat Sunderland's Man United loanee Ahmed Darlow to the EFL Young Player of the Season award earlier this year, much to his rival's chagrin. And that has been talked up by Robin's boss, Nigel Pearson. Not a man to mince his words, as a future international after already helping England under 19s to European Championship title in 2022, of course, against Israel. He's just a very unique talent, and he's got a very impressive temperament, Pearson told Bristol Live. I think he's destined for the very top, but football dictates to you what is going to happen, because you can't always be in control of your own destiny. For the meantime, the Robins are desperate to tie Scott down to a new deal, with his existing contract due to expire in 2025, but may have to cash in on their crown jewel sooner rather than later. And this is something that I did mention. He was even singled out for praise by Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola, who called him an unbelievable player after the treble winners' FA Cup victory at Ashton Gate in February. And of course, Jack Grealish also said he was a top talent. So Jack Grealish said that. We've got his statistics there as well, which are very, very impressive. Fouls won is top there. The reviews provide plenty of optimism, but a fair, quick sweep of the forwards thinking midfield stat do not give him much indication of what he is about. 1 goal and 4 assists in 40 championship games are not going to turn too many heads on their own. That he stands out in the is all the more impressive given that he's not always been playing in his favoured role in a hole behind the front man. Scott was also deployed in a midfield two out wide and even at wing back across the campaign, owing to City's injury hit campaign, his own aptitude to fill a variety of roles. I tell you what, he's exciting player.
It does sound it. Definitely does sound it.
Definitely, definitely. Well, there we are. But there is some players that are leaving Dean Court. We'll just quickly whiz through those. So let's have a little look.
Yeah, so obviously since the last cherry picking, some more have moved on. But you may remember from our last cherry picking of the season, we said goodbye to these guys. It was already confirmed that these guys were leaving. Jack Stacey's obviously moved on to Norwich. Junior
Yes.
Stanislas, which I hear through the grapevine, there might be a role within the club for him. I think he's retiring from playing. I don't know if anybody else has heard that or what. But that's what I've heard on the grapevine. And obviously, Jordan Zamora, we all know about where he's moved to.
Yes.
But since that episode of Cherry Picking, we've said goodbye to this man, which is, when you see that, it does hurt. But at the end of the day, money talks, unfortunately, in football. And that's obviously why he's gone, I think. But after 184 appearances for Bournemouth, he moves on to pastures new. What reception will he get when he comes back to Dean Court?
I think he'll get a positive one.
I
But
think he should. I mean, it's totally different to some other players. He was still playing his socks off, wasn't he?
yeah,
Last season, and he wanted to leave Bournemouth in the Premier League. That was whether he was staying in England or going abroad or whatever. I think that was his attitude. I don't think that could be faulted. Will I applaud him? I'll applaud him, but I hope he has a terrible 90 minutes against us. And and I hope we can finally, give Palace a hiding next season. But you can't fault the guy's performances in a Bournemouth shirt, I'm afraid.
no. And I think, that game against Leeds at the end of the season was so important. And he played out of his skin knowing that he probably wasn't going to be here. A little bit like Steve Cook did, against Fulham in the Championship when he
Oh
just threw
yeah,
himself down at the ball.
um,
He played out of his skin.
of course he did. I mean, and that shows the character of the kind of player. He doesn't get taken on the pre-season summer trip. He's left at home. Didn't look part of Parker's plans, but Parker bigged him up as a professional throughout his interviews when he was questioned about him. And then all of a sudden, he's back in the team due to injuries, and he played a performance like he did at Fulham, which to me it was unbelievable defending.
Yeah.
But Parker didn't fancy him, which I just still to this day do not understand. But hey
No,
ho.
I don't.
But the next player that moved on was Christian Siedi.
And I think that's quite a good move for him.
I think so as well. I think it's a good level of football. He's gone to a good club. Let's be fair. Pompey, they have a good fan base. If he can win them over, he's going to have a good career there. The sum of money is thought to be in the region of around 200,000. No one knows for definite, I don't think, but I think that's a good price for him as well. And 6 games for us and a goal. You can say he's played for Bournemouth, the mighty Bournemouth. But no, I hope he scores some goals down there. I really do.
Definitely. Do you know what? This man was a great bit of business bringing in. And he played his part. I just don't think the Premier League is his level, but what a championship player he is, and he's going to have a fantastic career.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. Yeah, I mean, it was surprising that day when he was chucked into the midfield. I think it was against Villa, wasn't it? He started.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And everyone was kind of surprised, but I thought he played well and kind of held his own. Is
Mhm.
that the way that Iraola? I said it right.
Iraola, yes, you have.
Iraola.
You've
Is
got
that
it
the
right.
way he wants to play? Is he his kind of player? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
So yeah, like you say, Craig, he played his part. He'll always be in the history of the club as part of that squad that got promoted, and also as part of the squad that missed promotion the time before during the playoffs. So he's played his part in his 55 appearances, definitely.
Definitely, definitely.
And then earlier this week,
Shrieky Dembele joining Birmingham City, and this is a good move for him. I like Shrieky. He's
I
fast.
liked him. I thought he was exciting when we briefly saw him last season, and when we signed him in the January, when we got promoted that year, I thought he looked quite an exciting player. For whatever reason, couldn't hold down a place in the side. Was sent out on loan. I think it was inevitable that he was going to be leaving the club, as well as Jamal Lowe. He played at Poole Town in the development squad friendly. I think he will be the next one that probably moves on.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's a shame to see players go, but sometimes if they're not at the level that the manager wants, or in a position for to play in to play every week, it's not good for them. There's nothing worse being a footballer, I'm sure, than just turning up to training every day and never getting part in the squad. So, or being sent out on loan all the time. At least he's got a permanent home here at Birmingham City, and there could be some exciting things there next season.
Definitely.
So they've got a good player. They've got a good player. So we wish them all the best.
Most definitely. So there we go. That is our outgoings. We're going to wrap it up in a second, but we do have one thing to announce, which is happening tomorrow, and there is your. That's been popping up every now and again. That
Yeah,
has.
it's a little pop up. It's great.
So yeah, do do get involved. But what's happening tomorrow, Matt?
Well, tomorrow there's a premiere, and it is an interview with former Cherries player Joe Partington. It was a pleasure to sit down with Joe earlier on in the week and have a chat with him about his careers, his highs, his lows. It's a real heartfelt, honest interview. And that will go live on a premiere at 8 p.m. on YouTube tomorrow evening, Monday the 17th. Well, actually, this evening because it is Monday.
Yep.
Sorry. But yeah, it's on live tonight, Monday, the 17th of July at 8 p.m. an evening with Joe Partington. And we go through all his days at Bournemouth, all the way through to his career within non-league football and to his present day. We even talk briefly about his podcast and his new job role as well, very briefly, which is quite interesting. So, a good insight, but like I say, very honest and very heartfelt.
There we are. You nearly gave away our tricks, Matt, though.
Did I?
Yeah, you nearly gave away our tricks that we do it the day before. So, of course,
Oh yeah, of
everybody's
course. Yeah,
watching this on the Monday. Yeah,
yeah,
we did record it on the
yeah,
Sunday. Yeah, there we are.
yeah. I wish I could be sat here on a Monday, but someone's got to go work.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, I think that is pretty much it. Do keep your eyes peeled. Make sure you subscribe to this channel because this is a massive week for this channel, and there is some huge stuff coming up. On the Tuesday evening, we're going to have another show for you, and that show is going to be quite something. So hit that subscribe, hit that bell because it is coming. It is coming. But Matt, pleasure as always. And no doubt we will do this very, very soon. And it's popped up again. There we go. Join the Fantasy Football League
Yeah,
now.
join the fancy football league. It's all good. It's all. It's never too early to join. You've got plenty of time to tweak your teams. So
Exactly.
Craig's actually probably got a semi decent one, so he might finish, maybe out of the bottom 10 this time. But yeah, worth getting involved. And like I say, anybody that's willing to get involved to help sponsor the prizes, please get in contact.
Definitely. Well, that is us for, well, not another week. We'll be
No,
back
we will be back Friday
Friday. So
morning.
make
Back, and this time, hopefully, we will have our friend Manny with us. Hopefully,
definitely. But until the next cherry picking, up the cherries, and we'll see you then. Thank you for joining us.